what can a leader do as if they're looking at a team member or a team and that team is resistant to change and they're pushing back? We've talked about already the importance of talking about why, right? Explaining
Mhm.
the why behind this.
Yep.
But what else can they do to help those team members to
Well,
navigate through the inevitable waters of change?
absolutely. I think it goes back to emotional intelligence. So,
Hmm.
we look at that as just emotions, which it is. Everything is based on emotions. Emotion drives
Yeah.
all behavior. But it is more complicated than that because we have to understand, first of all, ourselves, what we're feeling, what we're thinking, what we're understanding about whatever the situation is, and how we're regulating that and controlling ourselves, self management. When we can do that effectively, then we can start looking at the person across the table from us. We can start looking at
Hmm.
two team members maybe that are clashing, and
Hmm.
realizing what's happening here. I just got out of a horror class a half an
That's
hour
good.
ago, and we were talking about
Hmm.
this very scenario. So when we start looking at the sea of perspectives that we live
Mhm.
in constantly, especially today, when
Yeah.
we're so divided in our thinking and it's just so either or,
Yeah.
it gets very challenging. So when we start understanding the basis of emotions and what they're trying to tell us, let's say you're in a meeting and you've got a team member that is just angry, they're just mad. When you understand what anger is trying to tell you that your perception is it's unfair.
Hmm.
So, as that leader, first of all, you have to look at yourself and say, okay, is this situation fair? Is this based in reality? And you may look at it again from my perspective as a leader. Yeah, it is. But you have to put yourself in the other shoes to be emotionally intelligent. How are they coming at this? What is it that
Hmm.
they perceive as unfair? And is that perception based in their reality and why?
Hmm.
It's only then when you can then try to make it fair, because that's how you resolve that emotion. All emotion is good. It's just trying to tell you there's a need or a desire you have that's not being met, and it has to be resolved. That's the
Hmm.
point of having emotion. So all emotion is
Hmm.
good. What is bad about emotions is how we express them, right? And how
Hmm.
we act, the behaviors that go around that. So when you're in that conflict with a team member, you really have to be able to understand where you're coming from and how you've responded to it, and then look at that other person and say, okay, I can see their point of view here. How do we make this work? And I call that both and. So we,
Hmm.
for eons have lived in this
Yeah.
either or perspective of how we problem
Yeah.
solve. It's right or it's wrong, it's black or it's white, very little gray, right? And that is so limiting. It really just rules out any possibility for creativity and expansion of
Hmm.
ideas. When we can both and a situation, it doesn't necessarily mean compromise. It means potentially creating something brand new. Does that make
Hmm.
sense?
Hmm. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I think that's a fantastic perspective